Well, good morning, y'all. Rise and grind, baby. I pray you slept well. I slept well. Been busy, just a lot of things going on in my transitions and stuff. Um, I've been talking to my colleagues for like the past month, and we've come to some conclusions, and you know. I could not keep my mouth shut on this topic. Not that I was trying to, but it was just so much going on to where I hadn't really made delegated the time. Um, but what triggered this is that I was coming across some feed, and it was about a traumatic experience, a traumatic report, a unfortunate report of a fella who just was at the end of his wits and could not control himself mentally to where he ended the life of his family. And it was just really tragic. Um, but the triggering point was when a woman, before this particular report, said, ladies, we love them, and she was referring to women who are in abusive relationships or toxic relationships. She said, yeah, we love them, of course we do, but what about our safety? And absolutely, don't nobody got time for the foolery. And guess what? You don't have time for yeah, you hurt, but you don't have time for the foolery either. Why? You got to get your life back together. You got to maintain your health mentally. So you really cannot afford to go out like some sucker, ending people's lives because you can't process the pain. Now, I will call, and I'm not trying to be funny, but there are so many things like people give you warnings, and unfortunately, everybody don't get those warnings. Why? Because we're dealing with our own lives. So it's not your fault if you didn't take heed to the warning, if you didn't see those signs. Unfortunately, that is normal. But guess what? This is a call to action for us to realize when we begin to have unhealthy obsessions. Because no one is exempt from having an unhealthy obsession. It is a form of addiction, right? Right. And you can form an unhealthy obsession with even your spouse, your children, your coworkers, your families, your friends, people you don't even know. Right? Right. And so you have to begin to filter yourself out, do yourself a self check. When these different things start going through your mind, things that you never thought before, things that could cause harm to people, that is your warning sign. And trust me, when you're telling people things like I can't go back from a dark side, or people just don't want to listen to me anymore, people don't care about me anymore, let me tell you, I need you to go further and deep in depth with it. I need you to go ahead and continue to tell a person, whoever you're talking to, more. Tell them more so that they can get a signal that you need help. You can always consult a mental health professional like myself. I offer coaching. You can, and in fact, I've been kind of managing the crisis all week, right? Just to be that extra support because I know things can go astray immediately, right? There's other people other than myself that can help. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're trained for. And this is to help all of us understand we don't have, for basic human rights, we don't have a right to have an obsession over anybody. If someone decides that they don't want you to be in their lives anymore because of your toxicity, then you need to own that. And that is an opportunity for you to seek help without any shame, for you to seek help to create a better life for yourself. Let that person go on about their life so that you can go on about yours. There is redemption at the end of the road for all of us. But we cannot hinder anyone else around us from living a fulfilling life. It is their just due as a human being. Over my years in my life and the many years that I've been involved in the health and human services, I've seen unhealthy obsessions in all different forms. Women with their so-called friends, women with their coworkers. Do you know that women used to call CPS on each other when they were jealous of each other? Not not because of children being in harm's way, but because they actually wanted their friend's man, or because they didn't like their friend. They were envious or jealous about towards their friends for whatever reason. You exhausted public resources, governmental resources for the foolishness. Yes, you did. Yes, they did. Thank God that certain parties or overheads of those particular governmental sectors realized that this is what you were doing, and now they've created different mandates to where you just can't do that freely like you did. That is an unhealthy obsession. It's not just on the men. It's women out here wilding too, right? These are mental health disparities, mental health deficiencies. And these are things to where we need to start asking for help. Mental health, you need to start engaging in groups. If you can't afford mental health, groups are more affordable. In some phases, they're free. We need to start doing research on those things. Start asking your mental health professionals, especially someone like myself, for such resources to where you can get out there and get the help you need. We all need that. I've been in positions where supervisors or bosses or managers are very obsessive, evil, unhealthy, untoxic. These things are being passed along amongst social media, amongst our families.